Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we've got a great show for you today. Sorry, my mic was not connected for that first 20 seconds when I was just talking and no one could hear anything. So that was not fun. But, welcome back. We have a great show for you today. First topic we'll be going over is the Yankees making a whole bunch of transactions and shaking up their roster. Then the Rangers and some injury updates on them. Then some top duos in MLB. Mason Wynn's breakout season for the Cardinals, and the MVP leaderboard from MLB. But before we do all that, I'd like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link, GSMCpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, so we'll be starting off the show for today, and like I said before, the first topic we'll be going over is the Yankees and the transactions they have made over the past few days. So let's get into it. So there was a lot of news going on with the Yankees in these past 24 hours that I did want to just mention and talk upon. So I decided to make it the first segment here, and let's get into it. So the major one, of course, we have to talk about is Gerrit Cole and his impending return for the Yankees. We've talked about him before with his rehab starts and all that, but it's now more official as it has been announced by Aaron Boone and the Yankees that Cole is going to start tomorrow versus the Orioles. So obviously a huge thing for addition for the Yankees, getting the best pitcher in baseball back. It's not even like the Yankees really needed Cole because the Yankees were already the best team in the league with being the first team to 50 wins, being on pace for like 110. But I guess the more the merrier for this team, and they're going to be one fun team to watch now with all the star power. So it's hard to overstate how big of an addition getting Gerrit Cole is. As I said, he is, in my opinion, the best pitcher in baseball. And again, adding into this team that has already been elite, now with not just with the bats, but with the pitching as well. I mean, it's just going to be so incredible to watch this team, and it is going to be very, very exciting. So, yeah, I mean, again, what is there to say about Cole that hasn't been said? This guy is the best pitcher in baseball. He's going to add a ton of depth now to that rotation that definitely needs it. You know, they did lose a lot before when Clark Schmidt did end up... Sorry about that. I had a cough, something out of my throat. I don't know. But, the Yankees rotation did lose a lot once Clark Schmidt did end up going down with an injury. Schmidt became a very vital piece of this rotation once Cole did go out, and he had been really, really good for them this entire year. So with him going down with an injury, the Yankees were really a little pressed for starters, and now they have survived these past 2 to 3 weeks, but having Luke Weaver and Cody Petit making consistent starts isn't really exactly what you want. So I think getting Cole back will really add a lot of depth to that rotation. And overall, we'll just make this rotation purely unbelievable. I mean, you're going to have him, Rodon, Stroman, Cortez, Heel. It's just going to be so insane. I mean, let's go into a playoff series, for example. You got to face Cole, then you got to face Rodon, then you got to face Heel, Stroman, Cortez. Schmidt might even be back at that point. So just the Yankees pitching core is truly incredible, already adding in with that amazing hitting core. And yeah, this team is just incredible to watch, incredible to play, and they are so exciting. So yeah, very exciting for Yankees fans that Gerrit Cole is finally coming back. Should be all rested up, hoping that arm injury doesn't come in being a factor again. But yeah, it should be very, very interesting to see, and very excited to end up watching Cole now with this fully healthy Yankees team. Another big transaction here was something that was very surprising this morning that happened, which was Ben Rice was called up to the major leagues by the Yankees. Now, Ben Rice is one of their more known prospects, not exactly a top prospect, I'd say, but is a very good prospect for the Yankees, and is a catcher/first baseman. A lot of Yankees fans were campaigning for him to get up to the major leagues for a little while now, and now with the injury to Anthony Rizzo, which we will talk about, Ben Rice has been called up. Currently, for MLB Pipeline, he is the 12th ranked prospect in their system. Just got called up to AAA in that short span of time. He did pretty great. I mean, he had a 172 good runs created plus, only in 11 games, but it's still a sample size, still not like 7 or 8. It's, double digits, so it's still a good amount. And in AA this year, I mean, he was absolutely insane with a weighted runs created plus of 151. Just hits the ball hard, has a really nice swing, and yeah, it's going to end up being a real big spike for this Yankees lineup. Rizzo did end up going down, as I said. He fractured his arm in a play versus the Red Sox, and it's going to be out most likely 4 to 6 weeks. Also with Rizzo, Simply put, he just wasn't doing that good either. I think that there was some talk about him being DFA'd even before he got injured. So this might give the Yankees a chance to see what Rice has and also try to reset Rizzo, try to get him back, and maybe see if he has anything left in him. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets DFA'd after that. He really has had a poor season. So, as much as Rice was called up because of the injury, I wouldn't be surprised if we learned that this was in the plans all along for them to call up Rice eventually. Again, was hitting very, very well in the minor leagues and was a guy that was sure to be called up soon. Again, I know a lot of Yankees fans on social media were clamoring for him to be called up and eventually got their way. Very surprising this morning waking up to see that Ben Rice was indeed called up. Again, I thought that was the right move, but it was surprising to me. I didn't think they would end up going with it. The plan we heard after Rizzo was out would be that DJ LeMahieu would end up playing first base, and they would call up Eduardo Peraza to play third. Peraza was seen in New York City from his Instagram, so we do know he is being called up, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to be starting now. So with Rice, you're now going to slot him right into first base, and again, really add a dynamic presence to this lineup. Rice, a guy who has a really nice lefty swing, big guy, nice power, and really slots into that lineup, which has a lot of great hitters. I mean, Soto, Judge, Volpe's hit great, Verdugo, Stanton. Now you slot Rice in there as well. I think it's going to add a lot, and just another younger player. I think you need again a bit of a spark from that first base position with how Rizzo was performing, and I think Rice does accomplish that for the Yankees. I think that overall this should be something that is very exciting to Yankees fans. Very interested to see how he does end up playing. Again, it was a surprise as he only played 11 games in AAA, and they just did indeed call him up there. But, one thing to the Yankees, props to them, is that they have been very aggressive in calling up their prospects over the last few years when they've needed them, and I appreciate about them. I think a lot of teams are too conservative with that, and I like how they've done it. I mean, we saw it with Dominguez last year, now Rice this year, going back to the Baby Bombers as well, when you had that whole core of Judge, you had Sanchez, Bird, Torres. They were also called up pretty aggressively, I'd say, as well. So the Yankees know how to be aggressive with calling up their prospects, but also be sensible, and I really appreciate that about them. I mean, again, they're one of the best organizations in professional sports at this point, so they know what they're doing, and they know when the right time is. So props to them, and they've done a really, really good job balancing that out. So, yeah, going back to Rizzo now, again, he was doing pretty horrible before, and this fractured arm now might be the nail in the coffin for his Yankees career. If Ben Rice does end up running with this job, I think we'll have to see Rizzo be DFA'd or released and find a new team or just retire. So I think that it is going to be interesting to see what does end up happening with his career. Also, if Ben Rice doesn't perform well, they could look to trade for a first baseman. I know Pete Alonso has been mentioned a lot with the Yankees. I don't think that would happen even if the Mets were content on selling, because I don't think Steve Cohen would do it. But that's a fit. We've heard something about Mark Canha from the Tigers. So there are a lot of first base options available for the Yankees, and if Ben Rice does fail to deliver the spark at first base they were hoping, I think they could look at the trade market as well. So overall, I kind of think Rizzo and the Yankees are going to move on from each other rather soon, and I think that this could be a relationship that isn't going to end up ending now. And yeah, I'm very happy with this Rice move for the Yankees, though. I think it was a great job by them, and overall just a fantastic call-up, and very excited to end up watching it, and very excited to see what is going to happen with Rice and the Yankees, how he does end up playing, and yeah, overall, very excited. Next, we have Jason Dominguez. He was placed on the minor league IL by the Yankees. It's only 7 days, it shouldn't be that much, but again, kind of solves their outfield conundrum right now. As I said before, the Yankees have a ton of good outfielders right now with Dominguez, Judge, Stan, Verdugo, and kind of a lot of players for 4 spots. So I think right now this solves the Yankees' problem, but once Dominguez is fully healthy, out of AAA, done with rehab, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. And honestly, if I'm the Yankees, I'm moving on from Stanton. I don't care if he's hitting well right now. He's going to get injured. His contract is huge. I don't know how they're going to get it. I don't know how they're going to get off him. I think a trade's merely impossible, but I'd release him, honestly. Even with that contract, the New York Yankees, you can swallow it. So we'll see. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what the Yankees do decide once Dominguez does come back. So the Yankees now, as I said before, are going to be playing the Orioles for the next 3 days in the Bronx. Should be a electric series. I mean, you're going to have Cole pitching on Wednesday against the Orioles, the second best team in baseball. The Yankees direct rivaling in the AL right now. It should be electric. Orioles fans I know travel as well. Baltimore, not that far from New York. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Orioles fans in attendance. Just overall, this entire series, even without the Cole game, should be just so exciting and fun. Two of the best teams in the whole league, great fan bases, great venue in the Bronx. Two exciting young teams that happen to be amazing. I'm very, very excited to end up watching this series. I think it's going to be so fun. And hey, could this be an ALCS preview? We'll have to see. But yeah, it's going to be very exciting right now to watch this Yankees versus Orioles series. Two elite teams. And yeah, just honestly super excited to watch just high-class baseball for the next 3 days. And it should be very, very fun. So yeah, that is it for our first segment here, talking about the Yankees and the transactions they did end up making the past 24 to 36 hours or so. We'll be moving into our second segment, which is going to be talking about the Texas Rangers and some injury updates about them, mainly about their two star pitchers, Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom. So yeah, we'll end up talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie. And we're going into our second segment here, which is going to be talking about the Texas Rangers and some injury updates about their team. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, so as I said, we'll be talking about the Rangers and some injury updates involving them. So let's get into it. So as we all know, as I've talked about a good amount on this show, both Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer are out for a significant amount of time this year for Texas, and that is obviously a big impact to them. So obviously both are amazing star pitchers. Both came over from the Mets in the past 2 years to this Rangers team, and both are big parts of their team. Both were, I'd say more Scherzer than deGrom, obviously, but both were parts of the Rangers winning the World Series last year, and obviously, again, top-tier pitchers when they are healthy. I'd say both are no-doubt Hall of Famers. deGrom, in my opinion, is a no-doubt Hall of Famer, even with his injuries. I just think his peak is the greatest peak ever, with right up there with Pedro Martinez. But that's another conversation for another day, maybe in the offseason when there's less news. We'll be talking about deGrom. But so going to this Rangers team, there are some injury updates about both these players now, and I did want to talk about it. So we know Max Scherzer is going to be returning soon. It was announced that by the Rangers. He did recently make a rehab start in AAA versus Seattle's AAA team. It didn't go great, but again, as I've said before on the show, with rehab starts, you're not really looking at the results. You're looking at the process. You're looking at how were the pitches thrown, what mile per hour were they at, were they moving, did he get Ks, did he get whiffs? Obviously, it's better if you go 0 runs than 3 or 4 or something like that, but really with minor league starts, you're not really pushing for the results. You're pushing for, how does it feel to pitch again? Are my pitches coming out the way I want? Am I pitching fast enough? Does it hurt when I'm done? All that kind of stuff. And again, it's really just to get healthy, and you're not looking at the results. So Scherzer should end up coming back this weekend versus the Royal Series for the Rangers. Very important series for both teams. Obviously, Rangers are right now fighting for their lives in the AL, getting on a little bit of a cold streak, and the Royals are one of the better teams in the AL this year, so an important series for both sides, I'd say. And yeah, I think Scherzer returning would be huge for the Rangers, obviously. I mean, let's face the facts that Max Scherzer this year in 2024 isn't the same Max Scherzer that we've seen in the past. nasty, nasty guy with the Tigers, Nationals, Dodgers, Mets for a season. But he's still Max Scherzer. He still carries the name value, and he still is a really good pitcher. So he still is going to be a valuable asset to this Rangers rotation. And simply being frank, you don't really have anyone else that Scherzer is going to be a bad option. So you also traded a top prospect for him in Luis Angel Acuna, who's doing well with the Mets organization right now. So again, this is going to be a big impact to the Rangers, and very excited to end up watching him versus this Royals team. I think it's a really, honestly, a perfect game for Scherzer to come back with. It's at home, so he's comfortable. He's versus a good Royals team whose offense is good but not great, but it also is a high-pressure environment because, again, you are facing a team that is important to beat in the AL right now if you are a top team. So that should be exciting. Jacob deGrom now, it has been announced that he is going to start throwing off a mound soon, which is a big improvement. Obviously, it has been out all of this year and most of last year since being diagnosed with Tommy John surgery and having a second one. Of course, signed a huge contract with the Rangers in the last offseason, but we all knew what plagued him, which was the injuries, and that's the reason why he didn't re-sign with the Mets. That's the reason why he didn't get $60 million a year. I mean, if deGrom was healthy, pitching like he was all the time, making 30 starts over a year, he would have probably gotten $60 million. It would have been like the Ohtani of pitchers, but even though Ohtani is a pitcher technically, but you get what I mean. So, yeah, obviously getting deGrom back would be huge. He says he wants to return around August, which I think is a fair timeline. It is a wonder, though, if the Rangers are out of it at that point, let's say he returns late August, early September, if he gets back a little, is there even a point of bringing him back? That's an interesting thing you have to wonder, but that's so far in the future, we really don't have to worry about it. But yeah, getting deGrom back, is going to be a huge addition, obviously. Look, he's not going to be healthy for an entire season ever for the rest of his career. I think Rangers fans know that. I think deGrom knows that. I think the Rangers front office knows that. But that's not why he signed. He signed to make 15 to 20 unbelievable, amazing starts in high-pressure environments. And if you're the Rangers, let's say you are competitive now. It's September. You're second in this AL West. You're fighting for an AL wildcard spot. You want deGrom there down the stretch with you. You want him starting every 5-6 days, going 7 innings pitched, giving up no runs, striking out an absurd number of batters. So that's really what you have deGrom for. You know what he is at this point in his career. The Rangers knew what he was. They signed him. It was an iffy signing when they did it. It's backfired so far. I'm sure they knew this possibility was to happen, but his upside is so high that you have to take the chance. And, I think it was time for the Mets to move on from him as a Mets fan, but at the same time, I'm happy he's there with the Rangers, and I don't feel any ill will towards him, I will say. So, yeah. With deGrom returning soon, also, again, soon, quote unquote, again, it should be August with how much rehab he's going to have, much more than Scherzer, I'd say. It should be a big boost to this Rangers team, and it'll be interesting to see if there's any lingering effects from his Tommy John, his second one in his career. So, yeah, but overall, deGrom coming back, huge addition to this Rangers pitching staff. I mean, again, it's Jacob deGrom. What is there to say that hasn't been said about this guy? He's absolutely insane and incredible, and one of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy, one of the greatest peaks of all time, and so excited to end up watching him with the Rangers when he does end up getting healthy. So looking at this Rangers rotation now, even without deGrom and Scherzer, it's an interesting thing to look at. I mean, you have John Gray here, who was absolutely awful last night versus the New York Mets. Mets continue their hot streak, winning now 6 in a row, beat the Rangers 14-2. Pretty sure John Gray gave up 7 earned runs in 2 or 3 innings. The Grimace Mets stay alive. Very, very fun storyline if the Mets keep winning. We just get to keep talking about Grimace and how he saved the Mets season. But I talked about that yesterday, so if you want to go see that yesterday, please go ahead. But it's on the channel. But this rotation, there still are some good pieces here. Of course, John Gray, I think, is a solid pitcher. Last night was more of a fluke, I'd say. I mean, he still is a solid guy that provides value to this Rangers team. But other than that, you have Andrew Heaney there, who I think is a very solid pitcher, a guy that is brings a lot of value to this Rangers team. Isn't the greatest, but again, isn't that bad. There's a lot worse options. Nate Eovaldi is really, really great. Dane Dunning is very solid. Michael Lorenzen's been a nice pitcher for this Rangers team. Jack Leiter provides some depth if you really need it. But overall, with Scherzer and deGrom coming back, those are the two big guys in this rotation. Looks much, much better when they are back. Tyler Mahle should also return soon as well. That's another guy I'm very, very high on. Love that signing when he coming out from the Twins. So, yeah, it should be very, very interesting to see what is going to happen with this Rangers team, if that's a rhyme. But, yeah, very interested to see what is going to happen with this Rangers team. And with DeGrom and Scherzer coming back, the rotation is going to get much, much more interesting. They could look to trade for a starting pitcher, and if they do end up doing that, I think the rotation would look a lot better, because even with DeGrom and Scherzer coming back, how much can you really trust them in the year of 2024 to be consistent difference makers? Maybe they'll give you one, two, three, four, maybe even 5 great starts, but other than that, they're older, they're injury prone, and I just don't know how good they're going to be coming off injuries. Scherzer this could be his last year in the MLB. I doubt it, but he's getting older and he only has 1 year left in his contract, so we'll have to end up seeing. And overall, very interested to see what is going to happen with these two guys and this Rangers team and this rotation. And it is going to be a very, very interesting storyline to follow for the rest of the year. What happens with these guys' rebuilds? What happens with these guys' rehabs? The effect it's going to have on this team and the AL West. And again, something I'm following. We'll definitely be watching Scherzer start whenever it comes this weekend against the Royals. Should be a very fantastic series. Again, Royals are fighting for it. And looking at this Rangers team, I still think they're very solid. They just get hit hard with injuries, again, with DeGrom, with Scherzer. And not only that, Evan Carter's been hurt now. Wyatt Langford was hurt, and he's not performing. And I think you just need everyone to play up to their potential and just stay off the injured list, really, to continue to be the team you were last year. Cody Bradford is another player that got hurt, obviously less impactful than Scherzer and DeGrom in that rotation, but is a solid depth piece for you guys. And with DeGrom and Scherzer out, you need to rely on guys like Bradford to help this rotation pitch very, very well. So, yeah, it should be very interesting to see what happens with this team. And yeah, yesterday was a tough loss, as I said, getting absolutely blown out by the Mets. But they've been on a roll. There's 2 more games in this series versus the Mets, and the Rangers definitely have to try to regroup and end up winning. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. But the NL West, a very, very interesting division. You, of course, have the A's, who are bad but haven't been as bad as you thought. Angels, who are horrible. Astros, who have been one of the biggest disappointments in MLB history. After that, you also have the Mariners, who are winning, who are leading the division, have a really, really great pitching core, which is obviously not your strength. So a lot of really good teams in this AL West, and the Rangers just have to find a way to differentiate themselves from the pack right now with all these injuries happening. So it should be very fun to watch, very interesting to watch, and definitely excited to see where this team does go from here. So yeah, that was our third segment here, talking about the Rangers and some injury updates with them. We'll be moving into our third segment, which is going to be talking about the top duos in the MLB just overall. And this year, this was something I did want to talk about because of the NBA Finals. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did end up winning the NBA championship last night for the Boston Celtics. Congrats to all Boston fans. And, it inspired me to make a segment on what I think are the best MLB duos right now. Obviously, they are a dynamic duo. That's why they won the NBA championship. So I did kind of want to play off that and talk about it for MLB and kind of, give away to related here. So, yeah, we'll talk about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to talk about the top MLB duos in the league, and just my overall thoughts on them, and given my again, thoughts on them and just talking about them. So yeah, as I said before, this segment was inspired by last night when the Boston Celtics did end up taking home the NBA championship. I was trying to find a way to relate that to the MLB just to talk about it, and I figured a good way of doing it would be the top MLB duos right now and just give my overall, again, thoughts on them. I keep repeating that word. Sorry. But, I thought it was an interesting segment to do, and obviously Tatum and Brown are probably the best duo in the NBA right now, considering they just won the championship. So, gave me inspiration to talk about it for the MLB. So, we're going to get into it, and here we go. So, the first duo, of course, on the screen is the one everyone thinks about, and the second duo as well that we talk about, don't worry, which is, of course, Mookie and Ohtani. You could also go Freddie here if you think he's better than Mookie or Ohtani, but I think Mookie and Ohtani are better than Freddie, so I went with them. I mean, obviously, two former MVPs. Mookie is hurt right now, so I guess you could say Freddie fell in his place right now, but just any of those three, really, those MVPs, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Ohtani. But I think Ohtani and Mookie are two top 5 players in the league, so I went with them. Again, in my opinion, top 2 duo in the league, and we all know what the other one is. We'll be talking about it next. But yeah, these two guys are incredible. The way they play off each other in the lineup is absolutely insane, and they've been everything we expected and more since Ohtani did end up signing that contract with the Dodgers. And yeah, just two absolutely insane, incredible players, two former MVPs, two guys who are in vastly different points of their career. Mookie just trying to win his 3rd championship now, trying to solidify himself in legend status, and Ohtani just trying to make the playoffs. That's something that should be interesting. Again, play off each other very well in the lineup. Mookie, while is still an elite hitter, plays a lot more defense. Base running as well provides that. Ohtani doesn't play defense as he is a DH, but also pitches when he's healthy with that, and is one of the best hitters in MLB history when hitting. So yeah, both provide a lot of value to the Dodgers team, and are two of the best players in the league, and in my opinion, the best duo in the league. So yeah. Second here, we have, of course, how could you forget it, the Yankees with Judge and Soto. I mean, I've talked about Judge and Soto a lot on this show before because it's the Yankees. I talk about the Yankees a lot, unfortunately. They're the best team in the league, and they're in the major market, so you have to talk about them. And what comes with that is their duo of Judge and Soto. I mean, Judge, former MVP. Soto, somehow not a former MVP yet. Should be an MVP soon. That's actually our 5th segment, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, two obviously incredible generational players. Two guys that are simply elite guys. I mean, Soto, one of the greatest hitters of all time at this point already, being at 25, 26. I mean, if he is the greatest hitter of all time by the end of his career, I really would not be surprised. Judge, I heard an argument actually on the radio like a week or two ago that Judge is the greatest right-handed hitter of all time. And the thing about me was that I actually considered it, and I didn't think it was that crazy, which shows how great of a hitter Judge already is in his career. I'd probably go Hank Aaron, Alex Rodriguez over Judge, but just my opinion. And Judge is in the consideration at this point, which is crazy. So again, the way they play off each other, right, big lefty power bat, big right-handed bat, both outfielders, so amazing players, and yeah, one of the best duos in the entire league. So, after that, I went with simply Astros. There's a lot of players you could put for this. You could put Altuve, you could put Tucker, you could put Yordan, you could put Bregman. But for me, I did end up putting Yordan and Altuve. I think those are the two best players on this team. I think Tucker is very, very close to both of them, but I did end up going Altuve and Yordan. I mean, just this lineup with these three guys, really. Bregman kind of falling out of that tier because he hasn't been the greatest this year, but still, these three guys are absolutely incredible. Altuve, huge power bat, even with his small size. Yordan, with him being a huge power bat, what also comes to that is just his imposing presence. I mean, is there anyone scarier to face in the MLB than Yordan? That huge, powerful, high lefty swing. He stands very up front. Again, tight swing. He looks menacing at the plate with his size. Just so scary to pitch. If I'm a pitcher, I mean, that's one guy I don't want to face, especially as a righty. I mean, what do you even do to him? early in his career, he couldn't really hit the heat. Now he hits that great, so really no way to pitch to him. One of the best pure hitters I've seen in a long, long time. I'd say is up there with Soto. After that, again, Altuve, one of the best second basemen in the history of baseball at this point. I don't really think that's up for grabs. Three-time MLB champion. You can say what you want about 2017. The other ones are valid, and I still count 2017. So, yeah, overall, Altuve is an amazing player. Rodon's an amazing player. They play off each other very, very well, and one of the best duos in MLB. Also, Kyle Tucker in there as well. I think those two are better. You could also say that Ryan Presley and Josh Hader are an elite duo in the back end of that bullpen for them, but Presley hasn't been the greatest this year, and that's why I didn't really mention them fully. But yeah, after that we have Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, two of the best pitchers in baseball, with each other in that rotation at the very front. Been with each other for 4 or 5 years now. They're playing off each other, just amazing, amazing pitchers. And again, what is there to say about them that hasn't been said? Just absolutely incredible duo, are incredible pitchers, and yeah, just very, very great, and just incredible, incredible players. So yeah, two of the best pitchers in the league, dynamic duo, definitely heading that Phillies rotation, and definitely one of the reasons why the Phillies have been so good this entire year. Next, I had a bit of a younger one, which is Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman. Two top prospects in baseball for the past few years now, have fully lived up to their potential. Adley is already one of the best catchers in the league. Gunnar is already one of the best third basemen in the league, is very high in the MLB MVP leaderboard right now. Again, coming up in segment 5, but I think we all knew that already. And yeah, Gunnar is a very, very amazing player. I don't know why I phrased it like that. He's an amazing player. Adley, also an amazing player. Two younger players who have fully lived up to their potential as top prospects for Baltimore, are fully franchise superstars, are going to be with each other for a long, long time. They could be together for the next 10, 15 years, smashing baseballs, and yeah, are two of the big reasons why the Orioles have been so good these past few years. Incredible duo, and yeah, are two of the best hitters in the league. After that, we have a newer one that just came about this year, I'd say, which is Stephen Kwan and Josh Naylor. Both were always really good players for Cleveland, but this year have taken their game to whole new levels. With Cleveland being this good, I think that overall, Kwan and Naylor have to be mentioned. Naylor has really broken out being that big lefty power bat that Cleveland imagined him to be when they acquired him from San Diego. And Stephen Kwan has been one of the best pure hitters in the league right now, up there with Luis Arraez, just hitting for average and just making contact with the ball. Two of the best hitters in the MLB. Very different kinds of hitters, but still keep that Cleveland lineup in check. One of the best. And as much as Jose Ramirez is the best player on this Guardians team by far, I think that Kwan and Naylor are a duo more because they're just younger and they're kind of leading this team. But again, Jose Ramirez, amazing, amazing player. I've talked about him before. Obviously, he's Jose Ramirez. What is there to say about him? So he's still the best player in this league, in this team. Next, we have a little bit of some honorable mentions, quote unquote. We have Ronald Acuna and Spencer Strider, a pitcher-hitter duo, but the two best players on a very amazing Braves team of the past few years. Obviously, an honorable mention because they're both injured this year and won't be back for the rest of the year. That's confirmed. So, not really a dynamic duo this year, but still are in need of being mentioned here because of how good they are. And yeah. Next, you have Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. Again, two great all-time players for this Cardinals team that have been great these past 2 years, making long playoff runs with the Cardinals. But it seems like this dynamic duo is kind of over with Goldschmidt and Arenado not really playing up to their standards this past year, even looking past that as well, past 2 years or so. So both are kind of regressing a little bit. Goldschmidt a lot more than Arenado. Arenado's still solid, but both aren't the best. So, yeah. Overall, still good duo. Still name power brings a lot, but yeah, not the greatest right now. But still name power alone. Lindor and Alonso, another amazing duo. Two superstar hitters, two superstars in general for this Mets team. We're not sure how long they'll be together with Alonso's future influx for the Mets, but Lindor's been amazing, and you could even add maybe a guy like Brendan Nimmo in here as well. Maybe even Francisco Alvarez, JD Martinez, even with this year, the year he's having. So that's another thing with the Mets, great dynamic duo. And lastly, a very underrated one that I didn't know before, that I actually didn't think of even before a few minutes before this segment, which is Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll. Now, Corbin Carroll isn't having his best year this year, but I think that's mainly because of his surgery from the offseason, still is recovering. So it should be back to normal, but Ketel Marte is playing amazing this year and is being a MVP candidate. And Corbin Carroll had one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen last year. So, yeah, another dynamic duo. Both play off each other very, very well in that lineup. Corbin Carroll smashing righties, Marte smashing lefties. So another dynamic duo, especially last year making it all the way to the World Series. So another great one there. Also, you could even mention Harper and Schwarber for the Phillies. Mentioned the Phillies before, but I did want to talk about them as well. So, yeah, those are my dynamic duels in MLB. Again, I'm sure I'm missing one or two, so if you want to mention it, go ahead. This was inspired again by Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum winning the championship for the Celtics last night. So congrats to them. Congrats to all Boston fans, even though as a native New Yorker, I'm sure I'm not supposed to like them. I'm not a New York fan for basketball, so I don't really care. But, yeah, those are my dynamic duels for baseball right now. Top ones in the MLB. Moving into our fourth segment, which is going to be talking about Masyn Winn and his breakout season for the St. Louis Cardinals. So, yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So, thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth segment, which is going to be talking about someone I have wanted to talk about on the show for a little while now, which is one of my favorite players in baseball, just with how he's been playing and how good he is, Masyn Winn. I love this guy. I really wanted to talk about him for a little while now, and finally got the opportunity to do so. Last night had a huge go-ahead home run for the St. Louis Cardinals. In extra innings for them, ended up winning the game for them. So that was very, very exciting and gave him an excuse to talk about Masyn Winn, one of the youngest players in the MLB, breaking out this year and finally living up to his potential. So yeah, let's get into that. So Masyn Winn was a guy who was a top prospect throughout the Cardinals farm system throughout the past few years. Was always known as a defense-first guy. If you're a baseball fan, you've probably seen the clips of him throwing a baseball 90 miles per hour from the shortstop position to first base, all over the diamond. I mean, his arm strength is absolutely incredible. He's a slick fielder. Draws a lot of comparisons to another Cardinal shortstop, Ozzie Smith, with how clean he is defensively. But this, we always expected him to be a top defender at whatever level he is in. Obviously in the MLB now, so we always expected him to be one of the best defenders in the league. But finally has broken out really with that bat and has done absolutely incredible in that way. So yeah, I did want to talk about it and just give my 2 cents on Winn and going over him. So one of the things that is interesting with him was that going into the season, he did end up saying that he wanted to make hard contact more consistently, wanted to hit the ball much harder, really. And I mean, obviously, I agree with that. I mean, every single person in MLB should try to hit the ball as hard as you can. That's how you get runs. That's how you hit home runs, which is the most important thing. So obviously makes a lot of sense. And starting off the season, he hadn't really done that. He only had a hard hit percentage of 26.3, which isn't horrible, but also isn't exactly what you want. I mean, it's not great. It's definitely not something where you go out and say, wow, that's really incredible. I mean, last year it was 35, so definitely lower than last year. But in the last 68 appearances he has at the plate, it's been 43.2, has very much improved on that. He's showing growth throughout the season. He's developing like a young prospect is supposed to do. I feel like whenever MLB fans, a lot of the time, mainly big market ones, see a prospect come up and hear all these great things about him, they expect him to be this immediate slugger right away, this great player. And when he struggles a little bit or is still developing or isn't playing the best, they're like, oh man, this guy's a bust. Please move on from him. We don't have time to do this. And I think that's not right. You have to let a young player fully develop, and even with Wynn not hitting the rest this year, their support never wavered. They never sent him down. He had a 29 weighted runs created plus last year, which is obviously absolutely horrible. But again, the Cardinals' confidence in him never wavered. They believed in him. They believed in his tools, his work ethic, and he's showing off for them this year. He's doing a really, really great job, and has been a fantastic player for them. So yeah. So far, he has a 118 weighted runs created plus this year, which means he's an 18% better than league average. Also, his walk to K ratio is pretty good with 0.35. Is striking out just below 20% of the time, which is pretty good for a young player. A lot of the time, their striker percentage is very high, and that's something you have to work on. But is doing very well in that regard. His BABIP is a little high at 3.54, but he's a fast player, being young and a shortstop, so his BABIP should be a little higher than normal because he can run out grounders, a lot more than other people, and he's fast, so it's not like he's Salvador Perez with the kind of speed. So I think it's more sustainable than other players would have. It's like Trey Turner having a high BABIP all the time. He's going to have one because he's the fastest player in the league. Also, with Mason Wynn, his ISO is at 134, which really has improved since last year, which was 0.066. Obviously, 134 is still not amazing, but you're never really going to be having a true power hitter with Wynn. He's going to maybe hit 10, 15 home runs, but that's not really what his entire skill set is. His max exit velocity is up from 5 from last year, from 104 to 109. After that, his barrel percentage, it's barely up, but still good enough, I'd say. Again, hard hit percentage is down technically, but has done much better in these last few appearances, so that's really, really good. So, as you can see, he's doing a lot better with the bat, and yeah, he's pulling the ball a lot more, which is nice. Again, hard hit percentage has gone up in the bigger part of the season. So, overall, Mason Wynn is becoming a star with the bat, and as I said, we haven't even mentioned his defense, which of course is the big thing for him. Coming through the St. Louis Cardinals organization, everyone knew how good of a defender he would be. The main thing would be, okay, is his bat going to last in the MLB? And, he has kind of a weirder swing for a baseball player, and he's lasted. So his defense becomes an extra thing now. With, you look at the defensive stats. His DRS is at 7. His outs above average is also, it's not the best, a -3, but OAA sometimes is a little iffy with shortstop, so we're mainly focused on a DRS here, which is at 7. Very, very good. And also, defense is really one of the things where, as much as I don't like to say this, it's kind of a thing where you have to watch the game. There's not really a perfected defensive stat like there is with hitting and pitching and all that kind of stuff. It's mainly a watch the game stat, and if you watch a Cardinals game, you've seen that Mason Wynn is an amazing defender, really impacts the game with his glove and how slick he is there. So, really would take the defensive stats with a grain of salt here. But yeah, overall is becoming just a fully rounded player. Mason Wynn is. Already was great with the glove, is now becoming amazing with the bat, and yeah, should become a franchise star for this Cardinals team, I think. They are really lacking that right now. They had an amazing young hitting core these past few years, but those guys have either not lived up to expectations, been injured, or just not stuck with the team. So I think having a guy like Wynn, who has pretty much exceeded expectations, something he really wanted. And, this is a guy that was almost traded for Juan Soto a few years ago when Soto was originally traded by the Nationals. The Cardinals were one of the finalists with the Mariners, the Padres, and I think the Yankees as well. So, obviously, he ended up going to the Padres. But, the Cardinals had the chance to end up trading him, make a dynamic 3 of Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Soto, and they kept on to Wynn because they knew they were so confident in him. And, still, obviously, I'll be frank, I would have traded him for Soto. I would probably trade anyone in the MLB for Soto. But still, their confidence in him is paying off right now, and he's done an amazing job. His work ethic is really, really showing out now with how well he has done. And props to him for being so, so good. I mean, you look at some of the other bats for this Cardinals team that are young. Jordan Walker is one of them, who has been a top prospect in baseball for a long, long time, and really has not lived up to the standards for the Cardinals right now in the MLB. He's back in AAA, he's hitting well, but is in danger of becoming a 4A player. I still think has a lot of potential with this bat, but, definitely has to work on it and try to end up being a star like the Cardinals thought he could be. So, yeah, overall, should be very, very interesting to watch Win over the next few years or so and end up seeing what does happen with him. So, yeah, the impact he's had on the Cardinals season is honestly very big. I mean, this Cardinals team before wasn't a team I thought of as much, with their pitching being in flux and their offense not performing well, but right now they're in steady position in the second place of the NL wild card and don't look to be stopping. I mean, with Arenado and Goldschmidt kind of regressing, you needed a younger player to step in and fill in the reins, and Mason Winn has done exactly that. Again, a 119 weighted runs created plus isn't exactly what you want from a player, but for a player of Wynn's caliber who plays defense so well and is a shortstop, it's fine. And overall, I think Winn is a very, very exciting player, someone who is outstanding, and overall is just such a fun player to watch in the MLB and really has impacted this Cardinals team in a positive way. I mean, he's really helped this Cardinals outlook. And another thing is, I think the Cardinals pitching staff is really benefiting from him as well, which is something I don't think people mention a lot. A lot of ground ball pitchers on this team. I mean, Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, they all strike out people, yes, but they also get a lot of ground balls. And having a shortstop behind you who is as good at defending as Winn makes you so much more confident and really adds to your pitching rotation as well. I'd say he's right up there with Lindor as the two top defensive shortstops in the entire league, and really just adds a lot of confidence to your pitching staff when you have a defensive vacuum as good as him. You also have Arenado on the left side as well, so this Cardinals defense has been really impacted by Winn as well, and that's something that is really huge that is underrated with Wynn's skill set. So just such a great player he is. Adds a lot to this team, and again, with the Cardinals team kind of searching for an identity right now, with them just kind of being mediocre all over, being 36-36. I mean, the definition of mediocrity being right at 500. Winn is a bright spot on this team, and it's someone that is very, very exciting for this Cardinals team, for this Cardinals franchise, and it's someone they should look to build around for the next few years or so. And I'm very, very excited to watch him with this team, and very interested to see where his career does go from here. Again, I think he was one of the only Cardinals prospects that really lived up fully to his potential. And yeah, it was very, very exciting to see with this Cardinals team, and was an exciting, exciting player for these past few years for them. So yeah, that was my fourth segment here talking about Mason Winn and his breakout season for the St. Louis Cardinals and how well he has done for them. Moving into our fifth and final segment, which is going to be talking about the AL MVP rankings and what is currently going on there with the MVP leaderboard. It came out today from MLB.com, and I just did want to talk about what is going on with that. So yeah, we'll be going over that, and we'll see you after the break and for our fifth and final segment. And thank you, and bye. And we're back here for our fifth and final segment here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, talking about the MVP rankings for MLB for this point in the season. So yeah, let's get into it. So MLB did post their MVP leaderboard so far this year, and I did just want to give my general thoughts on it and the thoughts on the rankings as well, the places where these players are currently. So yeah, let's get into it. So first off, we're going to go over the AL first, going over 1 to 5, and just my general thoughts on where these players should be. So yeah, number 1 for the AL, we have for the New York Yankees, outfielder Aaron Judge. I mean, this is right. Obviously, it's right. I mean, there's nothing really else to say here with Judge. He obviously is the best player in the AL right now. Started off very slow, which is also interesting, but ended up doing very, very well this year, and is on pace for a whole number of home runs. I mean, he might get 35 home runs before the All-Star break, which would be absolutely ludicrous, just absolutely insane. So Judge here at number 1 for MVP is very clear. I mean, the Yankees are the best team in the AL, so the fact they do have the number 1 player in the MVP rankings, also number 2 if you are watching on stream, you can see as well. It's very fitting, and I agree with that. So yeah, I think that's the right decision here. I think overall it makes a lot of sense, and yeah, I think that Judge being at number 1 is very, very deserved and is a great decision here by the voters. Number 2, his teammate, New York Yankees outfielder, Juan Soto. Yeah, I think Judge and Soto are neck and neck for MVP right now. I'd say Judge and Soto are having pretty similar seasons offensively, which is just historic. But Judge plays defense a lot better than Soto does, and that's why I think that Judge is above him at number 1. Also, I think there's more allure with Judge being the captain of the Yankees and all kind of that. So, yeah, I think both these players are top 2 in MVP right now. I think this makes a lot of sense. I think that overall, both these guys are absolutely incredible. Clearly the top 2 for MVP, even though it's coming from the same team. It is well deserved. Again, one of the best duos in MLB history at this point. Rivaling. Can figure out how to say that word now. Rivaling Gehrig and Ruth at this. I mean, they've been incredible. So we'll see how long the duo lasts. But for this year, Judge and Soto being at the top of AL MVP, very, very clear, very fitting. Number 3, we have from the Baltimore Orioles, shortstop Gunnar Henderson. Yeah, he's the clear number 3 at this point. Would be MVP any other year, but Judge and Soto are just having fantastic seasons. That it makes a lot of sense. The AL Rookie of the Year from last year, or runner-up, don't exactly remember currently, but was obviously very high there. Top prospect for many years, and is showing it. He's been absolutely incredible. The Orioles are the second best team in the AL, so they had to have a representative from their team, and no one is more fitting than Henderson. He's had an amazing season so far. His WAR is incredible. Home run number is incredible. Plays great defense, steals bases. Is the leader for this young Orioles team at this point in his career already. Yeah, is absolutely fantastic. No one else deserves to be at this number 3 spot. This is very, very fitting, and yeah, absolutely great decision here, and makes a lot of sense to be here at number 3 for the Baltimore Orioles. So yeah, very, very fitting. Number 4, we have from the Kansas City Royals, shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. I also agree with this. I think this is the clear top 4. Number 5 is where it gets a little iffy, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, Bobby Witt's having an incredible season. I mean, this is what the Royals expected from him when they gave him that huge contract extension this offseason. Has been absolutely phenomenal. He's an amazing, amazing player. And yeah, he's just, again, phenomenal, amazing player. Not many adjectives to say about him that haven't been said. He's electric, future superstar in this league, and is breaking out this year. Again, Henderson and Witt are the 2 young shortstops that should really carry this team. They're this league in the future and are absolutely incredible. And the Royals are having an amazing, surprising season. You had to have a representative from their team, and Witt is clearly the best player in this team right now, and is having the best season, so it makes a lot of sense that he is here. Number 5 is an interesting pick in that it is Jose Ramirez, third baseman for the Cleveland Guardians. So, Ramirez is an interesting pick, not because he's not a name or he's having a surprising season. I mean, he's obviously one of the most well-known players in baseball, but he's currently 22nd in WAR for all MLB players. And WAR doesn't decide everything, but it is the all-encompassing stat. And players above him include Marcus Semien, Anthony Volpe, Jarren Duran, Kyle Tucker. So there are a few players above him, but I understand why Ramirez is here, and I like the decision. Kyle Tucker having a much better season, I would say. Even in 60 games as well, is having an incredible season, and will probably end up on this list here. But I think that Ramirez deserves to be here simply because of this young Guardians team, how well they have done. They're winning, and yeah, I mean, they've done absolutely incredible. I think they had to have a representative here at this point, and they've surprised a lot of people with how great they've been. And Juan and Naylor are having amazing seasons, but Jose Ramirez is having the best one of them all. one of the most underrated players in baseball history, in my opinion. Ramirez never gets talked about enough with how absolutely insane he is as a baseball player because he plays in Cleveland, Ohio. And yeah, I like this pick here a lot. Has been runner-up to MVP many, many times. Maybe this obviously won't be the year he gets it, but again, him in consideration is nothing new. I think Kyle Tucker should be number 6 here, and you could argue he should go number 5, but I think both are neck and neck, and we'll end up seeing what does happen. But Ramirez has played more games, and Guardians are a much better team right now, so we'll end up seeing when the season ends, but I think both those players deserve to be here. But yeah, I like this list overall. I think everything makes a lot of sense, and yeah, I think it's a pretty good list. Next here we have the NL MVP, so let's get into it. Number 1 here we have from the Los Angeles Dodgers, DH/pitcher, technically because he's not pitching this year, Shohei Ohtani. Now, Ohtani here at number 1 is not a surprise. He's leading all of the NL in WAR and is having an insane hitting season once again. I mean, that's not a surprise. He always does. And I agree with the decision to have him here at number 1. I think Mookie would have been my number 1 before this. Very close in WAR on the same team. Mookie plays defense and might be having a better season than him. But with the injury now, you had to move Mookie down. He couldn't be number 1 anymore because he's going to be out for a long, long time, man. Yeah, I think Ohtani being here makes too much sense. He's the best player in baseball, especially when he's pitching. Even when he's not pitching, he is still, in my opinion. Is having an amazing season. Yeah, deserves to be here at number 1 for the NL MVP. Has been absolutely incredible, and overall deserves to be here at number 1. Number 2 of the Philadelphia Phillies is first baseman outfielder Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper being a 2, again, is not surprising as well. Is having an absolutely incredible season. He's 12th in WAR right now. There are some players above him, including Freddie Freeman, Ellie De La Cruz, Ketel Marte, Mookie, of course. But I agree with the decision. I think when you look at how good the Phillies have been, Harper deserves to be here at number 2, and also taking into account with WAR, first basemen don't get a lot of WAR because they play first base, not a heavily demanding defensive position. But with how good Harper's been at the bat, with how good he's been making this flawless transition of first base, he deserves to be here. And I think people have this misconception that first base is easy. It's definitely easier than other positions, but it's still a very hard position. I mean, you're catching howitzers of baseball throughout the infield. Very important job. Got to pick baseballs, and he's done an amazing job here at first base, making this flawless transition. Number 2, no surprise here. Makes a lot of sense, and I agree with it. Number 3, we have from the Atlanta Braves, Marcell Ozuna. A surprising decision here. Not decision, but surprising season from Ozuna. Was looking at a guy that was going to be cut last year, but has done absolutely amazing. Having one of the best hitting seasons in Braves franchise history. And yeah, has been just absolutely incredible. Has been such an amazing player this year. And yeah, it's just been absolutely fantastic. And deserves to be number 3 in this list, I would say so. Could even argue he's a little bit higher. But yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense here with how amazing of a season he's having, even with being a DH. I think this makes a lot of sense. And I'd have him here at number 3. Number 4, though, is a little bit of an interesting decision. William Contreras, catcher from the Milwaukee Brewers. William Contreras is having a fantastic season, don't get me wrong, has become a very good young leader for this Brewers team that is breaking out, but I think there are simply players having better seasons. I think Freddie Freeman should be here on this list. I understand you maybe didn't want to have 3 Dodgers, but Freeman's having an amazing season. He should be here. Ketel Marte is having a better season. Again, Diamondbacks aren't playing great, so I understand why he's not here. Same with Ellie De La Cruz, but I think Contreras is a fine pick, but I think there are some players that deserve to be here over him. And a little bit of an iffy pick, in my opinion. Not the greatest, and still a fine pick. He's having an amazing season, don't get me wrong, but maybe there's some other players should have been here before him. And last but not least, Mookie Betts. Mookie's having an incredible season. Should be number 1, but of course had that injury, so he's going to be out for a long time. And we're not sure when he's going to return, so he had to be moved down in this list. No surprise here. Makes a lot of sense, and I totally agree with it. So, unfortunate for him, had the chance to win his another MVP for his catalog, but still is having a great season. And yeah, should be interesting to see if they move him out of it once he does end up missing more and more time. But overall, still having a fantastic season, and name power reigns large. So yeah, that is our show for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to not only get notified when I upload, but when all the other great content creators on this channel do. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. It's a beautiful day outside. Enjoy it. Have a great day. We'll see what baseball throws at us tomorrow, and see you guys then. Thanks and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that